Why isn't Fredo one of the biggest rappers in the UK right now? With the best daily duppy ever, Fredo is one of the faces of UK rap and is one of the first names when international fans speak about UK artists. Yet, Sench has lapped him in terms of being considered the biggest rapper, even though he has half the talent. So what can Fredo do to claim the crown, to be the biggest in the UK? Well, today let's take a trip and figure that out. My introduction to Fredo was 100, a street anthem that everybody loves and that became an almost UK classic. If you play the best UK rap songs, 100 is probably going to be in there. But that came off the project, which was named after 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying, Get Rich or Get Recalled. Now, Get Rich or Get Recalled isn't amazing bar for bar lyrics, but there's something authentic and genuine about it. People like to discuss whether Central C is authentic or not, and they like to claim things like, oh, what was he doing in West, da 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 da. But you can never say that about Fredo, because just listening to Get Rich or Get Recalled, it almost feels as though this is a story that needs to be told, and I'm gonna tell it, regardless of whether I am the best lyricist, quote unquote. It's very much a street mixtape that a lot of Fredo fans love to this day. And then since dropping Get Rich or Get Recalled, he's had songs like Netflix and Chill, Independence Day Freestyle, and a bunch of others that have shown his ability to be one of the best hit makers the UK has seen. But with all of this praise, all of this amazing work, it had me wondering, what is it that's stopping Fredo from taking that next level, that next step, not being just a big UK rapper, but being one of the biggest in the world like a Sench? So I started thinking, okay, what are some of the things Fredo lacks? Maybe it's his personality.
It's that time again, yeah? It makes sense, man. Every 2 years, you know they're gonna try to play with me. Get me to say something crazy. Try to trick me out of my position, but nah, I ain't gonna do that. I'll fall for that. I'm a businessman. But what I will say is, come on, man, stop playing with me, man. Check the CV. I've never, ever drove a lorry. Yo, I don't even know how to drive a lorry. Or a bus, or none of that. I like foreigns, look.
Who am I kidding? It's definitely not his personality. The guy is hilarious. I think he's one of the UK darlings in terms of personality and charisma. He's got memes for days. People really find him funny. And he's up there with Heady One as being one of the funniest one of the funniest rappers in the scene. So it's not his hitmaker ability. It's not his personality. So what is there left? What could be the problem? We know it's not his freestyling ability, because as I said in the intro, he has one of the best daily duppies of all time. I said it. Fredo has the best daily duppy of all time. The first beat, second beat, everything is perfect. And I have the answer. I know what Fredo's biggest problem is. His biggest problem is that his discography lets him down. Now, if I was to ask you what's Fredo's classic, what's the project that Fredo has dropped that is definitively one of the best projects to come out of the UK? Would you say Tables Turn? Would you say Money Can't Buy Happiness? My favourite is Independence Day. But with every Fredo fan, there comes a different answer, and I think that's the problem. Fredo doesn't have a unanimous best album. Say what you want about Stormzy, but Gang Signs and Prayers is a classic. Everyone can agree that Stormzy's best project. It might not be their favourite, but it's his best. But Fredo doesn't have that. Every Fredo project almost has a similar problem. Now, why hasn't Fredo delivered on any of his last projects, in my opinion? Now, I think it's because of this cycle. He drops an amazing single. He drops an amazing album. He doesn't have longer than 3 months where people are speaking about his album. A funny meme comes out, and then the cycle repeats. This is what I like to call the Fredo dilemma. The Fredo problem that is causing him to miss out on becoming the king of the UK, as we like to call it. Now, do I think it's avoidable? Yes, I think he has the talent. I think he could jump on summer songs like I Caramba. I think he could do trap. I think he could do drill, especially with the Frosty remix, County Lines. I think he spazzed out on that verse. I think he could do a song like, I think he could do girl songs, especially with the song with Eric IV. So he could do all of these things, but yet his projects, especially this part of the cycle, is what's letting him down. It's what's keeping him in this perpetual place where he has the ability to get everyone's attention, but for some reason he can't keep everyone's attention in a project. So how can he improve on this? Well, let's look at his projects track by track and try to see what is the problem in this. So he has a song like Biggest Mistake, a song where he's dropping law for UK rap, explaining how he was in prison with one of Dave's brothers, obviously the brother that he raps about most often, and how it's a coincidence that him and Dave ended up becoming great friends. For me, I remember hearing that for the first time and I was like, oh my, it felt like, you know when you're watching, for example, a movie and then you find out the antagonist and the protagonist, they're like brothers or something. And it's this jaw-dropping moment where you're just like, oh my gosh. That's what it felt like hearing that. And Fredo has that ability to paint that picture in his intros. His intros are usually amazing. On every project, his intros are usually good. So maybe it's his outros. His outros are always good as well, especially on an album like Third Ave. I love that. That's my favorite Fredo outro. So what is it? Well, we know he could drop amazing singles, so that's about 3 songs that we've decided in his track list that are good. They're safe. And let's just throw one more in, because maybe he might drop 2 singles, just for argument's sake. Because I like a song like Scoreboard on Unfinished Business. I think it's everything in between. Now, the beauty about having a discography and trying and putting out different albums is that you know what works for you and what doesn't. And later I'm going to speak about my solutions for Fredo and how he can fix that, how he can make everything that he's done, all his amazing albums and stuff, and put them into one body of work. What's worked for him, just put that into one body of work. But again, I've alluded to it. I've said it's the stuff in between. Now, album cuts are really important for me. Album cuts are the personal thing. These are the things that the fans and people who don't know you can get to know you a bit more. Forget the singles. Singles are meant to make people dance. They're meant to bring in a lot of casuals. They're just meant to bring impressions in. But the album cut is for someone who... An album cut for me is a way to speak to someone and try to convince them to be your fan, to show them your quality, to show them that there's more to you than just singles. And I feel as though Fredo does have that depth, but I feel like he's just not being able to package it in the right way. Now, there's 2 types of album cuts that Fredo has a problem with. The first one would be repetitive, same type of structure. Now, Fredo's a street rapper. I'm not going to ask him to start giving me in-depth about his family life and stuff. That's not kind of what I want. What I really want is for Fredo to have album cuts that vary in terms of subject matter. You listen to Unfinished Business, and I'll say about 5 or 6 songs have similar beats in terms of that UK trap beat, the similar beats to what Part of Paper had on Trader Day 3. And I've discussed how I didn't like that on, for example, Nightmare Before Christmas. And I feel as though I'm getting tired of those type of songs. You listen to an album, and I love Dave Flow. That's one of my favorite songs. I've definitely, out of the 4 million streams, I'm definitely 3.9 of them. So I think Fredo's Dave Flow is an amazing song. And Scoreboard is good. I think his song with Eric IV is great. I think his intro, the second Daily Duppy, I think that's really good. But everything else in between, sometimes the subject matter is a bit... There's not much there in terms of him as a person. I don't think I'm learning more about Fredo. I think releasing a 10-minute intro, it's almost like that's enough. Like you've almost explained everything you can explain. You've explained how bad you are. You've explained what's going on with Kick Game. I think there's an amazing lyric in his intro or his Daily Duppy where he discusses how when he's going to a business meeting, they're trying to spud him rather than shake his hand. And I think that could be a really great talking point. Tell me about how when you go to these corporate spaces, how you feel as though they don't treat you with the same respect, the level of racism that may be there. And discuss that. Explain to us how you might have great ideas. Explain maybe a great idea you had in the past and maybe some of the racism you felt when you've crossed that border. To me, that's something I liked about Skeptis Konnichiwa when he explained that on Call on the Curb, how he doesn't feel like he fits into these spaces. Explain that and let that be a case study for up-and-coming rappers who want to just get into business, that it's not as easy as people say it is, that you will face racism, there's still racism there. So what are my ideas? What are my solutions for Fredo? The first solution for me would be, and I've got like a little album in my head, an album structure for Fredo. So obviously his intros are great, his outros are great, that's fine. Let's say the third song's the single, cool. I want to hear everything since Unfinished Business. So Fredo's been locked up in Dubai, and I want to hear about that. I want to hear about the difference in prisons between the Dubai prisons and the UK prisons, how you've had to almost adjust and For example, in the UK prisons, you might be with some of your brethren. That might be a way where you feel somewhat safe. You don't have to assert dominance in certain ways. But speak to me what it's like to be locked up in Dubai. And I just want to hear your story about that and how it's maybe made you think about your time away from your daughter or your time away from your business or maybe the business deal. Tell me how you've lost 300,000 because a business deal wasn't being able to be made because you were in prison. I want to hear about things like that. That's the type of things I want from Fredo. And then let's go into the remainder of the album. I think a girl tune would be good as well. So I think a song with, my personal opinion, I think a song with Nipper would go crazy. Him and Nipper going back and forth on an R&B/UK rap. I think Nipper is really great in terms of that UK R&B sound. And I really liked the song with Eric IV, as I said before. So why not? Why not a song with Nipper? I think that would be great for him. Then what else would I want to hear from Fredo? I would love to hear more about how Kick Game's going. Maybe a little intro with Craig Mitch where he's discussing, him and Craig Mitch maybe have a conversation. Maybe Craig Mitch is just hyping up. I want to hear more about Kick Game and how your business empire is going and how you're conflicted. Maybe a song, maybe you could call the song One Foot Out, kind of similar to how Nines felt where music is making them a lot of money, but also the streets there's a lot of money in the streets as well. And how you're feeling conflicted and how you might not fully be comfortable with that transition. And I really liked Unfinished Business in terms of him being the boss, him being the guy who runs his ends, quote unquote. I'm saying quote unquote because I don't know anything about West London gang politics or whatever. I'm not going to watch a Traplo Ross video where he discusses that stuff. So I'd love to hear maybe some up-and-coming artists from Mozart on a song with you. I really like that song Double Tap with Suspect, where it's him and Suspect going back and forth. I want to hear more songs like that. I would love to hear a song with maybe Nines. I know Nines is retired, but the fact that we may not ever see their collab project, it would be nice to maybe hear a song or two with Nines featured on it. Maybe some songs that they've made from their collab project that may never come out. And the last song I want to hear from Fredo is similar to Dave Flow, him just improving his rapping abilities. Because like I said in the intro, right, when I first heard Get Rich or Get Recalled, I didn't think Fredo, when we're talking about the best spitters, I think his authenticity and his hit-making ability puts him in those conversations, but I don't think he can light a candle to the likes of Dave or Young Tef. But I feel like now he's improved to a point where you could put him on a song like In the Fire, and his verse is extremely good, and he's going bar for bar with some of the best spitters this country's ever seen. So I would like him to keep doing that. Obviously me, you know I'm going to suggest a posse cut wherever I can. A posse cut with maybe him, Dave, Tef, whatever. I don't really mind who's on that song. But I want to hear him keep pushing his pen forward and taking rap even more seriously. Because I think he has improved in terms of his album. When you listen to an album like Money Can't Buy Happiness and then you listen to Third Ave, you can hear that he's going out of his comfort zone, that he's trying a bit more. But yeah, in order to take himself to the next level, Fredo needs to have an album where it speaks on an issue that's going on in the black community. And I think for him speaking about the transition from the roads, not even the roads necessarily, but that mindset to going into the corporate world and having success in the corporate world and having to change your behavior would be great for me. Because let's think about it, right? Psychodrama is about mental health and what goes on in the black spaces in London. Common Sense to me is about African pride and being proud of where you're from and putting what makes you you on the map. And for me, Gang Signs and Prayers is about the Christian versus the worldly man and how Stormzy almost, I wouldn't say necessarily feels conflicted, but how both parts are part of him. Those are just some of my suggestions because I feel as though songs like Do You Right, I Miss, and Blood in My Eyes, they're okay songs, but I feel as though they hold Fredo back from being taken to that next level and being appreciated for how great he is. I think he has amazing chemistry with guys like Blade Brown, Asco, Dave, and I'd love to hear him explore those features a bit more and drop some songs with a bit more substance and opens a bit more into Fredo's world. Because I can listen to the violent stuff all day long, but it gets to a point now, especially the fact that we've been listening to Fredo for so long, to listen to those same type of trap beats and they get a bit tiring. So I would like a project with the amount of effort and care that he had for Money Can't Buy Happiness, but the amount of street that Independence Day had with a touch of a theme. That's all I really want from Fredo. But let me know what you guys want from Fredo. Do you think Fredo is the best rapper in the UK right now? Do you think he could be the best rapper in the UK? Let me know in the comments below. But it's been your boy Jay to the Izzo, and I'm out.